So we know about on-camera flash, we know about off-camera flash. Basically, we're just giving a burst of light and adding it to that fraction of a second where you're taking that photograph. With continuous light, it actually, I would say, is a lot easier. And why is it easier? Because basically you can see what you're doing. The very lights that are illuminating me right now are 3 continuous lights in front and 1 right behind. And if you don't like what you're looking at, you simply change the direction of the light. You change the intensity, you change the angle, you change the perspective. You can see what you're doing is what I'm trying to say. So whether it's using a continuous fluorescent, whether it's using LED, whether it's using a tungsten light, doesn't really matter what it is. A continuous light means that once you turn it on, it's continuously on, and that the value of that exposure or that light source, the intensity of that light, is exactly what it is, unless you dim it up and dim it down, if it in fact has that feature. Now, in the following examples, I'm showing you a couple of shots done with the ice light. For those of you who don't know, I invented the ice light. It's a cylindrical light source, and very, very proud of it. It was invented many, many years ago, and it has become a staple in one's tool bag. And it looks like a glorified lightsaber. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's a cylindrical light source. And why is it a cool light source to have? Because basically, 1, it's just cool. 2, it is a longer cylindrical light source, almost giving you 2 qualities of light. When you hold it horizontal to the subject, it's a bigger light source. It's like walking into a bedroom and opening up the blinds. Bigger, softer. When you hold it vertical to the subject, it's like walking into a bedroom and then closing that blind as a sliver of light. Therefore, it's a bit more contrasty. And of course, you can put barn doors on it, you can have some fun, but doesn't matter what light source you use, continuous lighting is a great way to practice your lighting, because like I said, if you didn't learn anything about light from me, and all I said to you was simply place this light where the bride's skin looks her best. Well, that will be pretty obvious. You just look for that. You don't have to know the terminology. You just say, all right, well, her skin looks better here. If I said, I want you to bring out some texture and depth and dimension, what would you do? And then you're like, oh, wait a second. If I put it on the side, I'll get that, and so on. In this case, this is a couple of lights going on here. I've got a light on the top left with barn doors, and basically we've got that little sliver of light breaking the monotony of that darker background. We've also got a sliver of light. I can't remember if I had that same light that was illuminating the groom here. But then on the other side, we've got some barn doors, and we've got some light filtering through, tickling the groom's neck, and then actually on the bride here as well. But that's what it looked like with my own 2 eyes. I could see what I was doing. There was no guesswork. With flash, certainly when it comes to experience, you sort of get to know what the light's going to do, and the tools that we have these days make life so much easier. But continuous light is just that little bit easier because you can see. In this case, we have 1 light from behind him, so that's giving us that little edge light there, that little highlight on his jaw and the back of the neck. And then we've got 1 light on the side here with barn doors, so we're cutting away light from this side, and then we've got a little sliver of light there as well. So you can see what you're doing. Simple, 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 simple. This one as well, we've got a light on the top left, that's giving us that little edge light. I make sure that light is not touching her here at all. Then we've got the light over here with barn doors that's basically fading away when it comes to her forehead, and then just illuminating her there as well. Now, if you're wondering what the smoke is, that's basically smoke in a can or atmosphere aerosol. It's basically you shake it, you spray it, and it just looks like sort of dust and fog, what you would see like at a concert, for example. This is a really cool example. This is an ice light from the top and the back. We've got 1 at the back, basically really, really low. It's just off frame. It's giving us that little tickle of light on his back and on her hip there as well. And then we've got the light on top of them with barn doors, giving us that beautiful quality of light on them. And the pose is beautiful because they fit like a puzzle. They're face to face, but obviously in an opposite way, but it just gives us that beautiful harmonious look and feel. But ultimately, guys, that when we talk about continuous light, it doesn't mean we have to have a Westcott badge on it or an ice light sticker on it or a ProPhoto sticker on it for us to have to use it as a light source. So many of us just feel that it has to be a photographic light for us to use it. Well, that's not the case. And quite simply, what I want to implore to you right now is if it illuminates, use it. If it illuminates, use it. In this case, in this next example, we've got a skylight in a garage. Now, the light source now becomes that particular skylight, and it's funny because this little arrow showing the cars where to basically go is telling the photographer, basically me in this example, is get your couple to stand here because that's going to be a beautiful quality of light. So I tilt the face, chin up, I have that beautiful light filtering down, and we get this quality of light. So if it illuminates, use it. Now, I was more alluding to, I guess, a man-made light source. So now, yes, technically an on-camera flash, an off-camera flash, a reflector, all these things are man-made per se, but when I'm talking about man-made light sources, I'm talking about your non-photographic existing light sources in your environment. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do, is that to become obsessed with light. If it illuminates, you can use it. I don't care if it's the light on your iPhone. I don't care if it is anything. It could be something like this. This was basically, I'm walking around the streets of Chicago. I see underneath this handrail of this staircase, there's a beautiful glow of light. Now that light gives me an idea of actually how to pose this particular girl. So if you can see me on the top left, I'm photographing down, and what did we say? We turn the body away from the light and the face back in, and we're creating that short side. We're bending her knee over. She looks amazing. And then of course we can add her man into the picture as well. I love the fact that the main glow is on her and it sort of dwindles away by the time it gets to him, and we've got that very subtle reflection on the handrail there as well. So again, if it illuminates, use it. Now, how many times have you walked past a street sign like that and said to yourself, well, you know, you just don't even look at the street sign as a light source. You just totally ignore it. If there was a Profoto sticker or a Westcott sticker or any kind of lighting company sticker on this particular, again, I call it a light source, you might just call it a street sign, you would use it as a light source. Well, I always do. So in this case, it's a beautiful big softbox. It's big, it's broad, it's got a gorgeous quality of light. I turn their face into the light. We illuminate them just beautifully. And again, gorgeous catch lights in the eyes, life is good. So if it illuminates, use it. What about this? Here we have in a subway entrance in Chicago there. I've got the fluorescent light above them, and then I ended up using like this. Now, the expression here is not quite grabbing me, but what intrigued me was the abstract nature of the reflection. So I ended up getting a better expression and cutting into that stainless steel reflection and made it look really abstract, which is what I really, really loved. So remember, any light source will do. And as I've explained to you in the reflector segment, you know, if you see a silver stainless steel sculpture in your environment, well, that's no different than someone literally standing there with a reflector as you happen to be walking by, and you're like, well, oh, thank you for holding the reflector for me, and then you stand there and use it as a reflector. Well, don't be so literal about it. This is a silver reflector. So you know that if basically this girl stands right in front and you come on the other side, we're going to get two light sources, as in one light source, the sun hitting the back of her, it hits the silver reflector, in this case the stainless steel sculpture, and goes back on her face. And now we get this gorgeous quality of light on her face, beautiful catch lights, and it looks like it was done in a studio. So guys, I want you, after this segment, now that you've seen this, no matter where you go, whether you're in the subway, whether you're just driving around, you're at a 7-Eleven, you're at a movie theater, I want you to look at anything that illuminates as a possible light source. Why? You might say, well, why don't I just bring my reflector and my on-camera flash and off-camera flash and use those accordingly? Well, you can. But what happens is that if you use the same tools, all of your work's going to look the same. But if I use existing lights in my environment above and beyond the tools that are predictably good and work well, then my photographs will look different. It could be a little sconce on the wall to illuminate the ground so people can see where they're walking. You could get the bride lying on the ground, turning her face and chin up, and get that beautiful tickle of light in that wall, and all of a sudden we have this magical photograph. But you wouldn't have thought to put a light on the wall and get the bride to sit on the ground or whatever. So basically, lighting, it's circumstantial. We walk into an environment and we see what's around and we can use it. all you have to do, remember, one of the golden rules in lighting, I guess as a common denominator is, okay, there's the light source right here. It's just right here. And let's say your subject is just turned away from it. Simply turn the face until the eye that was furthest away from the camera is completely lit. As soon as that happens, you've got that complete eye socket in light, and now we get that beautiful highlight. We're shooting on the shadow side of the face. We've actually, in fact, created the shadow side, and it absolutely looks beautiful. That's what we have to do, guys, is don't overthink it. Just have some fun with it. Use what's existing. Life will be easier. And certainly don't forego the tools that make our life easier, like the on and off-camera flashes and reflectors. You should be well-versed in everything. So enjoy, and don't forget to practice a lot.